Good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine. I'm Jim Monahan. My next guest is from here in Morris County originally and has an incredible story to tell. Daniel Buckelew, good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine here on DHA.
Hi, Jim. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. Hope everything's well on your end.
You're welcome, and you might be able to hear the dogs barking in the background. I think they're hungry. At any rate, a week from tomorrow, when the Boston Marathon kicks off, and it's on a different day this year. Usually it's in the spring, but it's in the fall this year thanks to COVID. Daniel will be joining up with the Strides Against MS team for the Boston Marathon. When were you diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, Daniel?
So that's a date I'll never forget. So I was actually diagnosed on February 9th of 2010. And it wasn't quite an easy journey just to get that diagnosis, given the way MS presents itself. It gives you, ideas of different kinds of thoughts of what it could potentially be. But yeah, after quite a few different things were ruled out, eventually, it was grounds for the diagnosis that I've been given of multiple sclerosis.
A couple of weeks ago here on the Jersey Magazine, I had Ed Randall on, and Ed is promoting prostate cancer awareness, and Ed is himself a prostate cancer survivor. And we talked about when you hear a doctor say to you, you have cancer, what goes through your mind. And for many people who hear that diagnosis, they don't hear anything that follows after that. It's the next time or two that they go to the doctor that they start to realize exactly what's going on. When you were told you have MS, what did you have go through your head at that point?
Yeah, it was very similar to what you had just described in the unfortunate instance of hearing the word cancer, which, this is focused on my MS, but that's not, I'm going to say, something that I haven't heard before, because yes, I even had a form of basal cell carcinoma, which thankfully had been taken care of. But yes, hearing that word, cancer, as well as a MS diagnosis, was just like, what does this mean? Especially with MS, because I was less familiar with multiple sclerosis at the time to really understand what it meant. So to me, it was more of okay, this is like anything else, it's just going to go away. But then as I further, educated myself about MS and what it does and what potentially could be the outcome, I started to go through different phases of denial, like, no, this isn't real, or okay, it is real. Now I'm in a stage of kind of depression. I didn't think that that's something that I would ever have really gone through, but not knowing and having lots of uncertainty, especially at the young stage I was when I received this diagnosis. I was early on, in my career, was graduating with my MBA with a concentration in finance. So I had, much uncertainty in terms of, okay, this is the path that I see myself going, but because of now having this diagnosis, is it going to be something that, is going to burden me from being able to reach the goals or expectations that I'm holding for myself? So it was very, very rough to start, but thankfully I have a support network around me, which really helped get me headed in the right direction in terms of my level of comfort, understanding appropriate treatments, appropriate physicians, and from there it was just like a 180, I guess I would say, a complete turnaround in terms of my approach in managing this unfortunate disease that I was having to now deal with.
Daniel Buckelew, my guest this morning here at 105.5 WDHA on the Jersey Magazine. He's going to be participating on October 11th in the Boston Marathon. You were an athlete in high school, a soccer player, if I'm not mistaken. You're at Madison High School?
No, so I was a Morris Catholic.
Morris Catholic, I'm
Morris
sorry.
County, yeah. So Morris Catholic, I played, all 4 years of high school, and I actually even played 2 years at my university. So I went to Centenary University in Hackettstown, New Jersey, where I had played as well. But always been active, and that whether it was running or playing a physical sport, that was always something I would do.
One of the things is I was doing some research, some background on this. In 2010, you had participated in the first ever Walk MS event in Roxbury. And you noted that you weren't even able to finish that 3-mile course. Now, for someone who had such an athletic background, what was that like for you mentally to realize, wow, I can't even do this. This is how far it's come for me.
Yeah. No, it was tough. And that was, the first time I ever had gotten involved with the MS Society Foundation, which is, the society that supports the Strides Against MS team for the marathon. But yeah, it was definitely difficult because, it was the first event that I had gotten involved with, where, it was a walk around Horseshoe Lake, and I couldn't even participate. It was very disheartening to see that I wasn't able to be out there with all the individuals that came, whether friends, family, supporters that came for me to support me. And yeah, I had no ability to be able to stay with them. So yeah, that was also too one of the times where I wasn't sure, but wanted to set a goal to say, okay, next year I gotta figure out one way or another how I can get out there with them.
Yeah, you said that this was kind of a wake-up call for you in how you dealt with MS. What did you do differently after that point, Daniel?
So it honestly, it was a change in my overall kind of treatment, in terms of going from just a general neurologist to finding out that there are physicians that have, specialty focus on MS. And so, starting there was, I think, one of the initial stages in terms of changing my whole kind of treatment paradigm. And then from there, just other options in terms of how to be able to, kind of combat just from, physical to medicinal directions. That is just something also too that was very helpful, because it was insight that I didn't necessarily have the beginning stages.
Your dad had sent me an email a few weeks ago, and he mentioned in it that just after the Yankees won the 2009 World Series, you and he ran the Damon Runyon 5K in Yankee Stadium. And he talked about what an amazing experience that was, the two of you running together, and you're on the big screen at one point in Yankee Stadium. And after you were diagnosed, he himself went through this period of, I don't know if depression is the right word, and there's one of the dogs barking in the background, but this realization of, I might never be able to do this with my son again. At what point did you decide, or were you able to say, I'm doing something like this again? When did that happen for you?
So it was as I actually progressed and starting to recover from that inability to walk, to be able to set the goal for the next year to join in the walk. And then from there, it was okay. I still remember to this day how excited I was to be able to do a simple jumping jack, because that was one of the things that I can guarantee you most everybody takes for granted, doing a jumping jack. I was not able to do that. I was going up a flight of stairs, hanging onto that handrail for dear life. And so it was definitely many steps along the road of being able to get to that 5K. So initially, it went from the walk to another 5K that we had done. Then, obviously Yankees just won World Series. Let's get on the field. So we did that one. That was a lot of fun. It was really cool too, because they still had, I think they won it in 6 against Philly, and they still had the final score of that game. So that were posing for photos and stuff. So it was nowhere near, or it had nothing to do with time. It was just going through. But it was going to through those stages to then, okay, I'm doing a 5K. What's next? Okay, let's do a muddy obstacle event 5K. So I did that, and then it's like, okay, well, what's next? Okay, I'm gonna do an even bigger muddy obstacle event. So I went and did that one. That one's much more intense obstacles, much longer distance, and that was that was actually something where I was very cautious and hesitant to do. But then I thought about it one morning as I was on my way to work, and I'm like, you know what? This is the best condition I've been in since being diagnosed with MS. So why not now? So I just had myself, thinking, I'm gonna drive in, and so excited. I immediately called my father. I said, Dad, I'm doing this. Let's do this. I gotta do this thing. And he's like, you know what? If you're in, I'm in. And so he and I and a couple other buddies that I had had worked with at the time in New Jersey. We had a team together, and we did that event. And then, yeah, it's just always one of those things, and looking at where I was to, okay, what's next? You know, I just have to have that kind of like carrot out in front of me as a goal.
The mental toughness you're showing to me, Daniel, is just incredible. I think that's a huge part of the story as well. Take me through what the training is like. I mean, I know people who have run marathons before. I know what they have to do to get there. What is it like for you training for an event like the Boston Marathon?
So it's really cool, and such a great thing to be a part of, because if you wanted to train, I know some people, that's their preference, and just go out by themselves, get their miles in. I know our U.S. Olympian that we had Galen Rupp, that just ran the marathon in the Summer Olympics. That's his approach. He just wants to go out there by himself. But for me, it was more about the overall experience, and building relationships, learning from people, and just being part of that whole kind of team atmosphere. So the one thing that is really cool just in that regards is that MS Society partners with a coach that will that'll give us that opportunity, and he'll put together a whole training schedule for us based off of where we are in our training. So you can be a novice runner all the way to an elite athlete, and then based off of that, then you kind of gauge, okay, what plan do you kind of want to follow? There's also group runs, so we'll have Wednesday evening hill focus runs, where we'll go in Boston Common and go up to the State House, back and down over and over, and just do hill repeats. So people probably think we're nuts just going up and down the same spot back and forth, but there's a bunch of us, so it's not just me.
What's Heartbreak Hill like for you?
So Heartbreak Hill, so that's actually the other group run that we have. So every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m., myself, as well as not just those on the MS charity team, but other charity teams that are part of this whole training program, will meet in Boston Common. And basically what we do is we'll do the course backwards. And all depending on how many miles we want to do, we'll go out to a halfway point, turn around, so it's an out and back. Mm-hmm. And as you get further into your training, that means you're going further mileage wise. So Heartbreak Hill is really cool, because like I've obviously now have run that, but I've ran up the backside of it, and then depending on where my turnaround point was, I turn around and then have to run back up the way that you would be running it in the marathon. And it's just that whole stretch also too, because there's the Heartbreak Hill running company brick and mortar store there, and they have their team run, their team runs going on there. There's just so many people out there on the course on Heartbreak Hill and in that section of Newton, where it's so motivating, and you'll see people dressed up as superheroes and all types of things. So it's and then there's also there's water stops. So depending on different charities, so like Flutie Foundation or Brigham and Women's, like there'll be different charities that are there with water stops. So you have somewhere to kind of refuel and get your goo or your gels or whatever you might need to just help make sure that you're keeping hydrated and have all the nutrition that you need. So it's an event.
Daniel Buckelew, my guest this morning here on the Jersey Magazine at 105.5 WDHA, originally from here in Morris County, and participating October 11th, a week from tomorrow, in the Boston Marathon with the Strides Against MS team. What's it like being a Yankee fan deep in the heart of Red Sox country right now? How are you handling that?
It's tough. I gotta tell you. So it's like I love going to Fenway, awesome ballpark. But I will not, obviously I'm not a Red Sox fan, but I won't wear Yankee gear. But it is tough, especially too, because I work right in Cambridge, and I remember the one year when the Sox had last won the World Series, they do the duck boat tours, mm-hmm. And that's where they celebrate their championship. And the tail end of the duck boat tour, when they were celebrating their World Series, they had to drive right by my office. I'm just shaking my head. Like, this is what I get to look at.
I will tell you one of the best experiences. I'm a Red Sox fan. One of the best experiences that I had with a Yankee fan who I did not know. I was with my oldest daughter. She was probably 9 or 10. We were at Fenway Park, and there was a kid there in a Yankee cap, and he was very, very funny. And he's talking trash about the Red Sox. Now, he had a number of friends with him who were Red Sox fans. So he had a little like strength in numbers going on for him. But he turned to me at one point, he looked down at my daughter and he said, "Am I coming on a little too strong?" I said, "Dude, I'm from the Bronx. I'm used to this." And we had the best time, Daniel, just talking about baseball. His grandfather, when he himself was a little boy, and he'd go to visit his grandfather would be watching the Yankee games on television. And that I said, "How do you, growing up in Vermont, how do you end up as a Yankee fan?" And he told me this wonderful story. That was one of the best times. And, he didn't go over the top. But he got the Yankee cap on, and I think, again, the strength in numbers of having some of his friends who were Red Sox fans who kind of had his back through the whole thing, made it a little different for him.
Yeah. No, it's there's definitely a fine line. So and just getting back, I won't wear my Yankees stuff, even though I'll cheer when when the last game I went to was Yankees Red Sox in Fenway, Yankees won, so I'm cheering obviously for the Yankees, but I still won't wear my gear because I have my family and everything. I don't want to find myself in a situation at all. But
right.
And I see other Yankee fans wearing their Yankee gear in Boston, and I'm just shake my head
For DHA listeners who want to know more about MS, the website that they can go to is nationalmssociety.org. And again, a week from tomorrow, when the Boston Marathon kicks off, Daniel Buckelew will be with the Strides Against MS team. Daniel, thank you for your time and best of luck in the marathon. You got to let me know how you did.
Yeah, definitely will. Thanks so much for having me. And looking forward to Marathon Monday in October. So it'll be the 125th running, so another milestone there. But just super excited because this is just an event that I know the city needs, and it's just going to be just really, really a lot of enthusiasm for it. So it should be great.